Diego Maradona, needless to give all the descriptions that you can about him. In our episode today, I'm just giving a few circumstances that I had experience with Maradona, experience with people who were very close to him. Actually, what I am doing is just giving a few testimonies about Maradona. I will begin with 1981. 1981, at the Junior World Cup competition, Cameroon was taking part in this competition, Argentina, England, and other countries. This was taking place in Australia. When the Cameroonian delegation was traveling from Douala using a Lufthansa air flight, veteran reporter of late, Zakarenko, was accompanying the junior team to Australia. He was in this delegation. So, when they arrived in Melbourne, I had a conversation with him that night about the trip and some other players that they might have traveled with. And of course, there were some Argentinians in this flight who traveled with them. And of course, most of the Argentinians were holding the picture of Maradona, as young as he was, because Maradona was a member of the Argentinian junior team that participated in that competition. So quite a good number of Argentinians who traveled from Europe and were on that flight were holding the picture of Maradona. And of course, from his what he gathered during their conversation from Holland to Australia, most of them were talking about Maradona and, of course, their expectations of what the Argentinian team would do with this uprising young star. So, when they arrived at the airport at Melbourne, Zakarenko, as he told me later in the night, was very surprised that even some of these Argentinians who left from Europe were black-skinned. But when they got to the airport, some of them were holding Maradona's posters. When they got to the airport, the hostesses told everyone to get up and walk out, except those who are black, the people who are black-skinned. And Zachary was surprised that these people who were black-skinned and were going out. And he noticed that it's because they had that picture of Maradona, and of course, it could tell that they were Argentinians. Why were they asking everyone to go out except the black people? Because they believed that the black people, especially those who came from Africa, carried lice on their bodies. So they took shell tox and started spraying it on their hair. They asked them to put out their fingers, and then they sprayed their fingers, and they asked them to put on their shoes, and they sprayed their shoes, because one of the information they got about black people was that they were carrying lice on their bodies, and they did not want them to bring lice into Australia. So there they were. And during meetings, technical meetings on the Cameroon national team, the coaches were always talking about Maradona and alerting the defense, because we had to play a match against Argentina. And come the day, Cameroon versus Argentina, Maradona was very spectacular in the stadium. And of course, the coach asked Njomo to particularly take care of Maradona. If Maradona moved to the right wing, he changed his position. And of course, in a link to this episode you are following, you will get Njomo's testimony about his experience with Maradona. And then, of course, in 1986, during the World Cup, which was in Mexico, Maradona had graduated and was already playing in the senior team. Of course, that very famous finals that year, Argentina versus Germany. I watched that match in Kuma, and I was watching that match in the house of Mr. Fayez, late Fayez Olabi, president of PWD Kuma. And while we were watching, I discovered that Mr. Fayez had a particular niche for Maradona. Of course, like me, because that's when this young man started really charming me. So, when it was two on either side, Mr. Fayez became so red and worried and nervous. And I was nervous too. And we found out that we had a common ground. because Maradona, who had played so well, Argentinian team that had played so well, and all German attacker owners got this equalizer and brought the score to 2-2. But a few minutes after that, when Argentina got the third goal, I didn't know when Mr. Fayed had died from his chair and fell on me, and both of us fell on the ground. All this, the charm of Maradona. And then in 1990, I got in touch with my colleagues who were in the dressing room, in the locker room when Cameroon was preparing to go into the field to play the opening match of the 1990 World Cup with Argentina. And there, one of my colleagues told me on the phone that Maradona had one ritual he always performed before a match, and they were seeing him now performing the ritual. Maradona would kneel down, would concentrate, and then with his eyes up in the sky, not moving, and the Cameroonian players had been given a tip that they should not let Maradona concentrate. They should not let Maradona meditate. And of course, it's later on, so many years when I met Maradona in America, that I knew why he always concentrated before a very crucial match. And of course, accordingly, he said, it is the time he's communicating with his spirits that will guide him in the field. And then I had this very golden opportunity in 1994, where I was covering the World Cup for Cameroon. And of course, Cameroon was there. So, Maradona came with the Argentinian team. But Maradona was not the same Maradona in his youthful days. But you could see that Maradona still had something to offer, and the Argentinian team brought Maradona for that competition to give like his farewell to the world and to give Argentina his last at the national scene. And of course, Maradona performed so well, even though Argentina did not go too far in the competition. But what was very crucial was that a biography of Maradona had been published, and Maradona was himself autographing, those books. And when he did it in Los Angeles, I had an opportunity to have a copy autographed by him. But, when I came back from the World Cup, I'm telling you the scramble for that book. Until date, as I'm talking, I'm still appealing to my friend who has that book that I still need it and need it very badly. And during that competition, the media centers were very, very jam-packed if it was a day Argentina had to play. And Maradona, of course, had to come on the scene for an interview. So, that was it with Maradona. But then I had another golden opportunity in 2018 in Russia. As a member of the normalization committee in Cameroon, the opening match of the 2018 World Cup in Moscow, we had an opportunity to sit at the presidential stands. And immediately after that match, Maradona was, in a group whereby they were leading the king, Pelé, on a wheelchair. And of course, as they were leading Pelé on a wheelchair, you could see President Putin. If you have seen that picture, President Putin of Russia there, some African top stars, Canon Wangpo, and we're not too far off. And I was trying to, make some signal, some gesture, so that Maradona could even look behind, and I waved at him. But security was too tight. But however, I came at close again as in 1984. And of course, as I had this experience with Maradona, many other Cameroonians had similar experience. So talking about experiences with Cameroonians and on a link to this issue, to this episode, we'll be having an encounter between Deep and Maradona, and Deep will explain exactly why they had that encounter. And of course, we just be rolling you pictures. He had an experience with Mila at different occasions, and had an experience with Mbu, had an experience with Tato, and the most beautiful of it all was in Boca Juniors with Chami Afons, when they played a match together as teammates, and Chami Afons was very spectacular with Maradona during that match. Well, all we can say today is, adieu Maradona, you're a legend, you have made history, Argentina is proud of you. The world is proud of you. All those who love football are proud of you. Once more, adieu. Legendary football player Diego Maradona has, since his early days in football, been the target of most defenders playing against him. During his youthful days, he played for the Argentinian national junior team at the 1981 World Cup. During that competition, he was the target of Cameroonian player Njomo. Even when he was grown up and matured, he remained the target of most defenders. In the 1990 World Cup, he was a target for Cameroonian defensemen Benjamin Massing, Libby Thomas, and Deep Akem Victor. In our episode today, Njomo versus Maradona, 1981 World Cup. Deep Akem Victor versus Maradona, 1990 World Cup. The story unfolds.
The Junior World Cup in 1981 went up to Australia. We played against Australia, Argentina and England. So the first match that we played against England, we were leading England 2-0. We were leading England 2-0. They came and equalized and won us. So that's the match that the referee was terrible. It was terrible. If you saw the match, they gave England 2 penalties. They equalized and outside goal the third match. The third goal. The next match we play against Argentina. By then Maradona was playing in the Argentina team, the junior team. So I was playing at the defense. I had a tough time with him. With Maradona, because he was too sweet. So the coach called me and said, "Nji, take care." So I changed my style of play. So when he's coming, I always back him closely. So he decided to change and go to the left flank. He was defeated. That was one goal.
One that most of you must have seen was in 1990 during the World Cup in Italy. Maradona was a pain in the neck of Cameroon, like other teams. But then our ace defenders, Benjamin Massing and Deep Akem Victor, played, handled, and pinned down Maradona. And finally, Cameroon won that match by 1-0. Deep Akem Victor would tell exactly what was the scheme that they worked out to handle Maradona and pin him down. Deep Victor.
When we came in, we met the Argentinians in the dressing room. Unfortunately for us, Maradona was not there. He was in the massage room. So we passed, they were sitting quietly. We started singing. No, we are singing to just let me instead of the fear. So when he came out from the massage room, Mila just came and told us that, hey, faites très attention, le plus dangereux, ce n'est pas Maradona, c'est Canija. Everybody tells us, what? If there is somebody who is dangerous, more than Maradona, then Canija will want to kill us. I look at Massi, I said, I cannot speak now in French or in English. I told him in Pidgin, go, put Chinese trap. If you enter, you close it. If you enter, no close it. He said, huh? I said, yes, Massi, let's go. So that's why that action, I told Massi, come on, may he enter, as he enter. I never work. So, but unfortunately, it just happened like
It
that.
happened and you won that match.
And we won the match.
Indeed, when you were going, before we left, when you were going, you had a white bandage on your hand. And you played with that white bandage. I asked you several questions about that white bandage on your hand. You said you only see it in it. And you played with that white bandage all through. What was that white bandage about?
Okay. In 1982, we were still small boys. We watched Germany play in 1982 World Cup. And there was one player who played two positions. Beton. He was playing two positions. Bandage, the left hand, with a brown bandage.
That's right. 86.
Yeah, 1986. 82, 86. Yeah, 86. So I thought wise that I should manage my hand with right bandage. But do you know one thing, Mr. Njomo? This is a Cameroon. We played against Tonnerre one day. Tonnerre, they had their kine, I asked him one day in the stadium, Pa, do you have a bandage here? He said yes. I said, okay, tie my hand. He tied my hand like this. He himself, I just told him, Canon 3, Tonnerre 0. We went to the field, he gave Tonnerre 3-0. When we came back, we went somewhere and he was hiding to see what I was losing from that bandage. So I saw him, I said, no, come on, losing him. He said, look at imbecile, you idiot, look at you. So there was nothing there.